Hello everyone, this is Diane. I have completed 3 Valentine journals. These journals are full of vintage Valentines and Valentine postcards and some really beautiful fabrics and laces and trims, and they're just really pretty little journals. I forgot how many pages I put in each journal, but I'll put that in the description. These are in my shop when this video goes up. So I'm going to start with the first one. This is the first cover that I created. I did show you the covers previously. They are bound with seam binding. I'm sorry. I will be coughing occasionally. I hope it's just occasionally. I'm feeling better. Each day I feel a little bit better. So this is made with a rose-colored or a rose-printed tapestry. And there is some collage on here of various bits. There's this piece of embroidered trim and a little piece of Valentine cross-stitch. Very delicate. Be My Valentine. I received several of these in a Happy Mail some time ago, and I believe that's where I got them. Maybe they came with some flea market stuff, but I don't know. I can't tell you where I got them really. There's really pretty velvet ribbon up here, this pretty shade of blue, a tapestry trim here, and this little, I know I got this at a flea market, this little ribbon. And this woven ribbon here, and some lace, and a sheer ruffle. And inside the pocket is a vintage Valentine. It says, "I love you." And it's on a little eyelet that moves. And it says, "To Pauline from Edgar, 1939. So there's a lot of Pauline's Valentines in these journals, so they're from that era, 1939, which is pretty awesome. And I got all of these Valentines at a flea market on Labor Day in September, this past September. The base for the journals is just a piece of folded cardstock. So it's covered on the outside with the fabric, and on the inside with some digitally printed paper from Antique Papery, and some muslin down the center, tea-stained muslin. There's a little rose printed book plate there, which is perfect for Valentine's. And then I made a pocket with this pink eyelet, and I just glued this little stamped piece that I made. It says Vintage Finds. And there's a couple of tags in each journal that I made, one in the front and one in the back. And then here we have a letter from the Netherlands written to Annie. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, Bergstra or something like that. And I've talked about these Dutch letters when I got them at the flea market, but this is all written on one piece that folds up and becomes the envelope. So each journal gets one of those in the front. This is a digital wallpaper piece, and I added a vintage label. Came out of this little box, Denison gummed labels. And this tab came out of this box, Denison index tabs. Not that one. There's a few in there, but these labels came out of this one. So they're all, it's like a fabric. They're kind of curled and aged, but I put it together, glued it on, and then put the eyelet through it. So you're getting quite a few vintage pieces in these journals. And that's just a little scrap of vintage wallpaper right there. I used my sprays to color the white pages, did a little bit of stamping. Here's another letter. This one was an envelope with a letter inside it. So each journal has one of those. Also, I opened up the envelope and I glued a little vintage floral sticker on there. And then the letter that came in the envelope, I included it as a page and folded it up to form a pocket. This has a beautiful embroidered trim as a tab. And this just came out of a book, this pretty label. Inside this pocket is this receipt or something in German. I'm not sure what it is. Somebody sent that to me. You can write on the back of it if you'd like. And one of the vintage Valentines. I love this. And this is dated 1950. And I just put a teardrop paper clip on there. Another piece of digital wallpaper, and this one just has a piece from a very vintage school book folded around the page, and then this was a digital print that came with a bunch of digitals that I got fussy cut out. There's a heart-shaped pink doily there, a red vellum, and I just glued a little strip of another decorative vellum at the top. Love this beautiful gift wrap paper, and there's pink netting tulle gathered up on the edge there. And then here is a bridge tally with pink fans. It looks very feminine and pink and valentine-y. Couldn't write really on the inside because of the printing that was there, so I glued these little digital pieces that you can journal on. Here is a coffee dyed paper that I just folded over one edge and glued this digital card that you can write on, and included a Valentine, a vintage Valentine. There's no writing on it, so I don't know how old that one is, but this one is old, probably from the 1930s. And a Mrs. Coggs digital is in there. And I just put this paper clip on to help hold those pieces in. There's a stamped heart there. Another digital page, and just a piece from a really vintage paper that was written on, and some vintage wallpaper. This is a piece of Hallmark stationery that had this gold embossed, sorry, it was pink with the embossed edge, and I just rubbed some gold, this stuff, metallic gilding polish on the edges. And this is an antique Valentine here. I just glued it down. It says, "I love you." There's another little vintage Valentine. It's probably from the 50s or 60s. Love that little horse. And then there's an antique calling card inside this pocket. This is pink typing paper. Another digital page, and another sequined and embroidered trim, and I added a bulb pin with a little bead on it. This coffee dyed paper was folded up, and I made a pocket and sewed this vintage trim on the edge of it, and put this cute little Valentine in there. It's got a little bow, and her hat moves so her eyes look from, I don't know, I don't really know what the difference is in the eyes. I guess it's looking that way and then that way. Okay. And it opens up, and it has almost like a little story inside. It's for Miss Buthwig from Glendale Hawk. Isn't that sweet? And then there's an envelope here with some roses on the flap, and inside the envelope is another Valentine. I've got to count all the Valentines that are in these books. I guess it just opens that far. And this is another one for Pauline. So this is probably circa 1939 also. I happen to have 3 of these little sheets of paper. I got them in a box of stuff, probably in the same box that the Valentines came in. We are pleased to confirm your reservation at the Park View, a Victorian Revival country inn where everything old is new again. It's in Sharon Springs, New York. I don't know how old this is, but I thought this would be a nice romantic reservation for a couple for Valentine's Day. Get everything back in there. And in this side of the pocket is another letter for the same young woman, Annie. But this one was not in Dutch. This one was written to her by her boyfriend, and she ended up marrying him. I saw their wedding picture. And this one is dated 1952, and the letter is inside. The letters aren't, I decorated this with washi tape. The letters aren't particularly romantic. I wouldn't call them love letters. It's just they're both in different colleges and writing each other. I don't have any letters from her to him, but from him to her I have a bunch of them. So it's just nice knowing that they were dating, and at the time the letters were written, and they ended up getting married. This is looks like it's from the 30s from the style of it. Valentine Be Mine. And somebody, it's another one from for Pauline, and somebody made up the rhyme. There's a smiling moon there. It says, the moon and stars are smiling because I love you so. Then let's hold hands together everywhere we go. Very nice, Dean. Very romantic. There's another stamped heart. And another vintage flower sticker, and on that side another stamped heart, and then here we have some gathered up sari silk. I took a scrap of the antique papery digital and just did a little top tuck and added another, this is a German scrap piece actually, it wasn't a sticker. And I included a homemade Valentine. So it has a piece glued onto it. I should probably glue that back down because it's coming loose. To my Valentine, I love you. To Pauline from Virginia, 1932. So this was written on notebook paper, and it has a poem. And then this is just a pretty little digital that I tucked in there. There's another tab, and I added a longer bead on that one. I created that bead dangle. And another piece of vintage wallpaper is glued there. Here's the other side of that Dutch envelope. I folded down one edge and added a little gift seal of this little girl, stapled it. Got to do that to the other ones. I'm sure I didn't do that to them. So I will have to do that. And then I just added this receipt because it's pale pink and pretty, and a vintage Valentine postcard. And here's the other side of the envelope. And it had some old tape stuck to it, but it was pretty loose. So I added some more old cellophane. I just glued it down and added extra, you know, to make it more secure. I didn't want to take the envelope apart. And here's another homemade Valentine made out of construction paper. And this looks like a piece of wallpaper that someone cut a flower from. And it was glued down into something. It does have some writing on it, but you can tell it was removed from a scrapbook. And I just added some pink Monopoly money because it's pink. And in the back pocket is a piece of rose stationery and another tag that I made with vintage wallpaper and a vintage ledger, and this was a stamped label, I believe. And then I added this little bundle of fabrics. And a little piece of lace, and it's pinned together with this pretty gold safety pin and a heart locket. So you can take these pieces and make more embellishments if you'd like to. I'm going to just call this one Tapestry. This one, I don't have the creative brain power to come up with fun names, so this one is just pink and turquoise, because that's the color scheme of the cover. It has an assortment of modern fabrics. Nothing is vintage here, except the trim is vintage. That's vintage. And I don't know how old this piece of velvet is, but it's a little velvet fabric scrap that I ruffled up there. And they all have the cross stitch on the front. This one is antique papery also. It's just a different style. They all have the rose book plate. And then this one has a piece of fabric with the lace sewn to it, and then I added some of the trim at the bottom. There's another tag that I made, and another of the envelopes that the letter folds up into an envelope from the Netherlands. There's some wallpaper here. Again, the vintage tab and label. A Dutch envelope with a piece of German scrap. And here's the letter. I love this Valentine. Here is every journal got one of those German papers. And here's the Valentine. My heartstrings say I love you. And this is 1939. Excellent condition. This is vellum. There's another tally card on this pretty gift wrap. I used the pink and turquoise to go with the front cover. This one you could write on, so I didn't glue anything to the inside. I just thought that looked very Valentine-y. The vintage Valentine card. Tinny from Lorraine. That's a digital. This was, I think it came off of a Valentine, but this was just a piece in that bundle of stuff I had. It says, with fond love. It is very old. Don't think there's a date on it. No, but you can tell it's old. It says, did I say it says with fond love? I think I said that. Here's another little Valentine that is so cute, reminiscent of the kinds of Valentines that we gave out when I was a child. I'm on the line for you, Valentine. But this is older. I can tell that one's older than in the 60s when I was giving out these little Valentines. And there is a calling card. Victorian calling card. In this pocket is this folder that was a digital. You can write on that. And then this is adorable. I'd ask you to be mine if I dared. But really, you have got me scared. There's a little boy hiding behind the bushes, scaring her. It's so sweet, that little girl. To Pauline from George, 1938. I just thought I'd show you I can. Scare you? I love this piece of trim here. There's another Valentine in here and another of those reservation papers. Just between, be mine, just between us two. I think you're grand and I really like to hold your hand. And this is 1947. It was given to the teacher, must be. Here's a beautiful postcard. I greet thee, Valentine. 1906. And a letter from her boyfriend. There's the top tuck spot, and I added a piece of German scrap to it. Beautiful bouquet of flowers. And there's a digital card and this handmade Valentine. It says, to my Valentine. It's done with notebook paper and crayons and cut out in a pretty shape. Just a tiny Valentine for a little friend like mine. The dearest little miss is she, and just a Valentine for me. Oh, how sweet. To Pauline from Eileen. So that's probably 1939. Piece of vellum. So this is the piece I need to fold down and staple something to. Let's look for something. Let's see if I have one of these that would be cute. Oh, that one's cute. I don't want to forget to do that. There. Now, I couldn't put this fabric bundle in the back pocket of this one, so I added it here, but it's got the same pieces and just a different charm, heart charm. Oh, the linen piece is different. And the pink receipt and another postcard. 1910. This was sent to Scranton, Pennsylvania. I put this sticker, this German scrap piece of the Bleeding Hearts upside down. I'm sorry. Here's another homemade Valentine, just filled right in with red crayon. It says, to my love, to Pauline from Jenny, 1932. I love you, to my sweetheart. And then there's the back pocket here. This is a part of an old photo album frame that I stamped on. Put a piece of stationery in there and a postcard that I made out of, not postcard, a tag I made from coffee dyed paper and wallpaper. So there's pink and turquoise. And I'll just call this one Pink Rose because of that big pink rose at the bottom. It's got the pretty sheer fabric with the sequins and silver embroidery. I added a little applique to the cross-stitch piece. There's a piece of lace there. And I tucked this is a little pocket, so I tucked a calling card in there. And on the back it just has a piece of that woven embroidery ribbon. Not embroidery, woven trim. This one has an embroidered trim here and also their tapestry looking piece. And there's a handkerchief, digital here. This one has an adorable little Valentine. I don't want to press you, but won't you be my Valentine? And then her arm moves as she irons. It was stuck in a scrapbook. There's a bridge tally with a pretty pink rose. This is a digital and a Valentine postcard, an antique one, from Sue to Elizabeth, no date. So I tied seam binding to that, and I meant to do that to the other ones too, so I have to go back and just tie a piece of seam binding to the other paper clips that hold that together. Here's another little Valentine that I just glued to the page. This is no soft soap. Please be my Valentine. And here, dear Valentine, you really sweep me off my feet. This is a calling card that has a little envelope on it with the name inside it. Here's another antique Valentine. I love you. So pretty. To Pauline Hutchins from somebody. So again, it's from that 1930s era. And in here, there's the reservation paper and then this little Valentine card. It's on paper. To Pauline. I'm so glad that I was able to get Pauline's Valentines. Here's a little Valentine card. Just beautiful design. And it looks like a 1930s design. To Pauline. And there's a letter for Annie. And here's another little calling card that I glued onto this paper. Lift this up and you'd see the name underneath it. You might want to, once you have this, you might want to just put a dab of glue here and hold that down so it doesn't tear. It's pretty fragile. This gift wrap opens up. There's a tuck spot here with a digital and a homemade Valentine. To my Valentine. To Pauline from Golda. Vintage wallpaper there. Here's the postcard in here. My Valentine, hear my message, sweet to you. On this day, my songs renew. And another handmade one. How cute. To Pauline from Nick. Did a good job on that, Nick. There's the fabric. And a tag. And the stationery. come back here and let's add this cute little girl. It says hello. And there we go. 3 Valentine journals full of lots of vintage Valentines and wallpaper bits and pieces of ephemera. There's lots of vintage goodness in these beautiful romantic journals. I hope you like them. Even though I was sick, I did enjoy making them, and I hope that they will find a new home. They are listed in my shop, which is linked below, so go on over and take a look. Thanks so much for watching, and please like this comment and give me a thumbs up, and I mean like this video I should say, but please leave a comment. I have not been responding to comments for the last couple of weeks because I've been under the weather, but I have been reading the comments. So hopefully I will get back into commenting, you know, like at least liking your comments and responding to questions and things like that. So yeah, we're coming along slowly, but I'm glad that these journals are done in time for Valentine's Day. And I have a lot of vintage Valentines left, so I will be dividing them up into I don't know how many groupings and putting them in my shop. So watch out for those Valentines in my shop also. They probably won't be in there when these journals arrive there, but I will do another video showing the groupings that I put together of Valentines. Alright, that's enough. I will see you in the next video, and have a creative day today. Bye bye.